serving the Republic of the Philippines for more than 75 years. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. departed for Australia on Wednesday upon the invitation of Governor General David John Hurley. In his departure speech, President Marcos said he will have the honor to address the Parliament of Australia in its capital city of Canberra and is expected to relay the Philippines' shared vision and future partnership with Australia. President Marcos is also expected to have meetings with Governor General David John Hurley, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, and Australian parliamentary leaders. The chief executive's visit to Australia aims to reaffirm the two nations' shared interest in regional peace and prosperity. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
I am embarking upon a visit to Australia as a guest of government upon the invitation of Governor General David Hurley. It may be recalled that we welcomed Governor General Hurley to the Philippines almost 2 years ago when he represented the Australian people during my inauguration ceremony. We appreciate this personal extension of friendship, and I wish that through this visit we will be able to not just convey our camaraderie but the goodwill over the entire Filipino nation to our friends in Australia. Following our historic decision to elevate the partnership between the Philippines and Australia from a comprehensive to a strategic partnership last year, it is now our turn to reciprocate the visit made by Prime Minister Albanese and extend to our Australian friends our strong commitment to this partnership, to this friendship, and this alliance. As part of this visit, I will have the opportunity to address the Parliament of Australia and provide greater detail on the commitments that we place in this partnership and our vision for the future of the Philippines. I will make sure to acknowledge the ever-growing relations on defense and security with one of our only two status of visiting forces partners, as highlighted last year by the success of Exercise Alon and the maritime cooperative activity. I shall also highlight the huge potential in trade and investment that we should maximize in the coming years. After all, economic security is a vital component of national security. Finally, I anticipate an enhancement of the mutual understanding between the Philippines and Australia as we share a common vision not just for our bilateral relations, but for the peace and security of the region as well. Our engagement in the Parliament will also feature conversations with Australia's legislative leadership, who are vital partners in ensuring a favorable and enabling policy to our relations to continue its upward trajectory. I will also have the opportunity to expand our wide-ranging cooperation with Australia through the formalization and signing of 3 agreements. Collaboration in these additional fields is a clear indication that the strategic partnership which we have embarked upon provides greater energy and optimism for closer cooperation that is mutually beneficial to both Filipinos and Australians. I am honored to bring with me in this visit the best of our motherland and our inherent desire for peace and prosperity. I intend to serve as a bridge that will further connect the two democratic maritime nations and promote our visions of amity, development, and cooperation. I hope to bring home with me a more robust, warmer, and closer Philippine-Australian relations. Hinihingi ko po ang panalangin ng sambayanan ng sambayanang Pilipino at ang patuloy ninyong pagsuporta.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, in a pre-departure briefing, DFA Office of ASEAN Affairs Assistant Secretary Daniel Espiritu said President Marcos will also be traveling to Melbourne on the 5th to the 7th of March to attend the 50th ASEAN-Australia Special Summit. During the event, the President is expected to have separate bilateral meetings with Cambodia and New Zealand. President Marcos would also hold separate meetings with other world leaders, Australian business leaders, and the Filipino community in Melbourne on the sidelines of the summit.
So the president is also flying to Melbourne on March 4 to 6, 2004 to participate in the ASEAN-Australia Special Summit to commemorate the 50th anniversary of ASEAN-Australia relations, this time at the invitation of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. If you will remember, Australia is ASEAN's oldest dialogue partner. It's also one of the most active, one of the most dynamic in all fronts, in the political security, economic, and socio-cultural pillars of ASEAN. As the first ASEAN leaders-level engagement for the year, the summit presents an opportunity for us to present the Philippines' core position on regional and international issues and set the tone for dialogue partner summits later in the year, especially in October. There will be two main engagements on the summit proper on March 6, the Leaders' Plenary, where the leaders will review ASEAN-Australia cooperation through the years and propose ways forward to further bolster relations. Then we'll also have a leaders' retreat where the leaders will exchange views on key geopolitical developments and issues affecting our region and the world. For the leaders' plenary, the President may take the opportunity to thank Australia for its unwavering support for the rule of law and for the 1982 UNCLOS and the 2016 Arbitral Award. The President may also highlight ASEAN-Australia cooperation on maritime issues, climate and clean energy track, people-to-people exchange, and economic cooperation. At the Leaders' Retreat, the President may encourage Australia to remain committed to the peaceful resolution of disputes and to maintain respect for the rules-based international order and multilateralism, which is currently very much under challenge. Aside from the special summit, Australia also organized working-level events that are aligned on the following four thematic tracks: a maritime cooperation track, a maritime forum which is a Philippine initiative, and where Secretary Enrique Manalo will deliver the keynote remarks together with the Foreign Minister Penny Wong of Australia. There's also a climate and clean energy track where representatives from the DOE and the DNNR will participate in working-level discussions. Then there's the Emerging Leaders track, where Australia intends to foster people-to-people ties among ASEAN and Australia's young leaders. To this will be invited young Filipino CEOs to engage civil society, government, and the business sectors of ASEAN and Australia. The following are the anticipated outcome documents of the summit: the ASEAN-Australia Leaders' Vision Statement, Partners for Peace and Prosperity, which is an outline of the basic principles which would commemorate the 50th anniversary of ASEAN-Australia dialogue relations. Then second, the Melbourne Declaration. The formal partner is a Partnership for the Future, joint declaration for the 2024 ASEAN-Australia Special Summit to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the dialogue partnership. Now, this is a more specific outline of areas of cooperation in ASEAN to implement the instructions, the basic instructions under the ASEAN-Australia Leaders' Vision Statement. Now, both documents are still under negotiation at this point. Now, during the summit also, and on the sidelines of the summit, there will also be an opportunity for the President to meet with the Filipino community in Melbourne, as well as to promote Philippine business for the Philippine Business Forum led by our Department of Trade and Industry. So the President has the following engagements. On Monday, March 4, he will deliver the keynote remarks at the Lowly Institute at 6 p.m. He will highlight the Philippines' role as an active participant in world affairs and a contributor to the rules-based regional security architecture. Then at 7:40 p.m. on the same day, March 4, there will be a Filipino community event at the Town Hall of Melbourne. Now, on Tuesday, March 5, 2024, he will deliver remarks at the Victoria International Container Terminal. Now, this is important since this will involve the launching of the expansion of the Victoria International Container Terminal, which is Australia's first fully automated container terminal. Now, this terminal is a subsidiary of the Philippine International Container Terminal Service Incorporated and is a testament to ICTSI's leadership in the field of global port management. There will also be bilateral meetings with Cambodia and New Zealand. And after that, an opportunity to promote Philippine business for the Philippine Business Forum to be led by the Department of Trade and Industry.
DFA Office of ASEAN Affairs Assistant Secretary Daniel Espiritu.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led the 2024 League of Municipalities of the Philippines or LMP General Assembly at the Manila Marriott Hotel in Pasay City. In his speech, President Marcos urged the local executives to help his administration in achieving the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs and the vision of a Bagong Pilipinas or New Philippines. The chief executive said the SDGs can only be achieved through unified action, stressing that a better and new Philippines is achievable with the help of the local government units or LGUs. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
To all of you here today, thank you for always answering our call for a united and undivided nation. Since I joined public office more than 40 years ago, I have made it my personal rule not to pass up any chance of meeting town mayors especially. I have always believed that if one cannot go to the grassroots, the next best thing is to touch base with local chief executives. Now that I am in office, that belief has not changed. It has only been strengthened. Municipalities are not the last outpost of government. Rather, they form the front lines of government service. You are the first responders to all our people, especially those in need. Municipalities are not mere implementers of national progress because you too can initiate your own programs. Municipalities should not be treated as passive receivers of projects from the national government. You must actively incubate your own initiatives, your own projects. Because programs developed by municipalities from below, by leaders who know the conditions on the ground, are better than those policies that are dictated from above, from the ivory towers, from the heights of the halls of power, because you understand the situation in your area better than anybody else. And that is why I believe that many policies must rise bottom up. Not all must flow top down. And this is how we view our 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It is our commitment to solving the problems of today while ensuring a better tomorrow. It means fueling rapid growth, which uplifts the poor and rewards productivity without compromising the ability of future generations to meet those needs. It means building better and more without abusing our natural resources, preserving natural capital, such that our children can still continue to live off the interest. That, in essence, is the purpose of the SDGs. These 17 ambitious targets serve as the dials on the global dashboard. They ensure that nations will keep generating shared growth without draining the Earth's resources. In other words, the SDGs can only be achieved through unified action. Only by working together, one municipality at a time, can we build a better Philippines and bring the Bagong Pilipinas that we dream of into fruition. And this is where the localization of the SDGs matters. The best practice is to learn from each other while adapting to context. Each LGU has its own strengths and limitations, which must all be taken into account. Each LGU must act, but always in accordance with its capabilities and the needs of its people. Each LGU has a unique vantage point in localizing the SDGs. International and national agencies may view the bigger picture, but you, our municipal mayors, have the clearer lens to craft and implement programs and projects that are aligned with the SDGs to improve the quality of life of your constituents. In like manner, must the national government place itself at the ground level to see what works? That is imperative. You are on the front lines of action. You are our invaluable partners in this endeavor for sustainable growth. So to be clear, we are not just pumping you up so that to delegate to you all the responsibility of governance. This administration remains committed to achieving these SDGs. In 2024, the national government will spend 457.41 billion pesos for climate change expenditures. This includes 375.45 billion pesos for water security, 18.19 billion pesos for sustainable energy, 6.48 billion pesos for environmental and ecological stability. We will spend a total of 2.09 trillion on social services. But the national government cannot act alone. We must harness the power of LGUs as well as civil society organizations, the private sector, and communities towards achieving the SDGs within the committed timeline. We laud your efforts to localize the SDGs. As municipal leaders, you are agents of positive change towards sustainable development. By promoting community participation and engaging your constituents in decision-making processes, you foster a culture of citizen empowerment and community development. The work of securing the future of our children requires brave, bold visions and bold action. It is building what is grand instead of being content with what is piecemeal. It is the courage to start projects with long building timelines. Kahit lumampas na sa mga termino natin, kailangan pa rin natin isipin na hindi na bale kung hindi tayo kikilalanin. There is a saying, very clear saying, if there is much that can be achieved if people are not fighting for the credit. Basta alam na natin, maganda yung ating ginawa, marami tayong natulungan, gumanda ang buhay ng ating mga constituent, sapat na yun. In that way, we serve the greater good instead of meekly setting for short gestation periods that are only high in optics and in gimmickry. It is about going for ambitious projects that span several terms, without regard for who will inaugurate them when completed, instead of picking ones that are ribbon-cutting ready before elections and the campaign. Hindi naman natin maiwasan talaga yan. Dahil meron talaga tayo dapat ipakita na meron tayong nagawa at meron tayong mga bagong na ilagay sa ating mga constituencies. Ngunit, ang ating ginagawa ngayon is we are trying to transform. I am hoping that this administration, I'm working very hard to make this administration a transformational one. At ibig sabihin yan ay marami talaga tayong kailangang palitan structurally. Bakit natin kailangan gawin yun? Kailangan natin gawin yun dahil nagbago na talaga ang mundo. At hindi na tayo maaring, hindi na maaari na yung ginagawa natin, yung dati pa natin ginagawa. Kailangan na natin mag-isip ng mga bagong pagtugon sa mga problemang hinaharap natin dito sa lokal, pati na sa international economy, sa global economy, at sa pag-usog ng teknolohiya. At kaya kailangan paghandaan natin. Hindi ito nagagawa sa isang taon. Hindi nagagawa ito sa madalian. ito ay dahan-dahan nating pinapalitan ang bureaucracy ng Pilipinas, ang partnership between the government and private sector, ang pagsasama at pagkakaisa ng national government at saka local government. Kaya madalas kong sabihin, mandate should not be wasted on petty things. It should be used for grand things. Napakalaking bagay na ibinoboto tayo at linalagay tayo sa mga matataas na posisyon na ating inuupuan. Kaya gamitin natin na mabuti ang ibinigay sa atin na tiwala ng taong bayan upang talaga namang kahit na hindi na tayo ang kinikilalang gumawa, basta't may mas magandang nangyari para sa ating constituency. May mas magandang buhay ang ating mga kababayan. Yun ang mahalaga. So once again, I congratulate the LMP for its commitment to localizing the SDGs. Seeing all of you here again persuades me that more than ever, unity, inclusivity, sustainability are not just academic concepts, but are being actualized in all our municipalities. Mayor JB, and to the whole LMP, let us continue to work tirelessly towards making Bagong Pilipinas a reality, one municipality at a time, in partnership with all our stakeholders, with the national government, with the private sector, with civil society, and of course, with our constituents. And I wish you all the best of luck. Asahan ninyo na lagi naman andito ang national government na nakikinig sa local government dahil kailangan namin marinig kung ano ba ang tunay na pangangailangan ninyo. At uulitin ko yung madalas kong sinasabi, dapat pakinggan ng mga local government executives dahil unang-una, kayo lang ang nakakaalam sa lugar ninyo. Wala nang mas expert kaysa sa inyo sa sitwasyon dun sa lugar ninyo. Ngunit, ay ang dala naman ninyo ay hindi laging problema lamang. Kasama rin dyan ang mga suggested solutions. Dahil nasa sa inyo, alam din ninyo kung ano yung maaring gawin. Yung solusyon sa isang bayan, hindi necessarily na dahil effective yun sa isang bayan, dadalhin mo sa kabilang bayan, effective din yun. Hindi. Kailangan natin tignan ng mabuti ang sitwasyon ng bawat local government unit. Kailangan ng national government pakinggan ang lahat ng report at saka suggestion at saka problema na nangyayari sa iba't ibang local government units. At ang trabaho naman ng national government ay magbigay ng guidance na dito natin ipapatungo ang ekonomiya. Dito natin papupuntahin ang ating sistema ng politika. Dito ang ating pagpalit. Dito ang mga pagbabago. At yan ang guide. Kaya sama-sama natin, paghusayan natin at sa palagay ko, pagka tayo ay nagkaisa at tuluyan natin pagkakaisahan ang trabahong ibinigay sa atin ng ating mga constituent ay magiging matagumpay ang transformation ng ating minamahal na Pilipinas tungo sa bagong Pilipinas.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. called on the Home Development Mutual Fund or Pag-ibig Fund to make its home mortgage financing more accessible yet sustainable. In his speech during the presentation of the Pag-ibig Fund Chairman's Report for 2023 in Pasay City, President Marcos said his administration's goal is to construct the most number of houses by any administration. The chief executive said the agency's challenge is how to use this fund to create actual homes that people can live in. The Marcos administration has launched the Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino or 4PH program that aims to address the 6.5 million housing backlog in the country. It seeks to build 1 million houses per year before President Marcos steps down from office in 2028. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
If I am to sum up your report, the splendid things that Pag-ibig has done during what is unquestionably a banner year, then without a doubt, it is clear that it is a labor of love. It's highly suitable because in this Valentine's month or Heart Month, when renewal of vows seems to be in vogue, your report is a rededication of your profound commitment to serve your members better. Naalala ko tuloy yung sikat na tula, yung soneto na ang hugot ay, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways." Paano kita minamahal? Hayaan mong aking isa-isahin. At iniisa-isa mo nga. At hayaan mong banggitin ko muli ang ilan sa mga tampok mong pahayag sapagkat napakasarap balik-balikan. Pinakamataas na halaga na napautang na housing loan na umabot sa 126.04 billion pesos. Pinakamaraming natulungan ng Pag-ibig short-term loan sa lagpas na 2.65 million na miyembro. Pinakamataas na halaga ng nakolektang loan payments na umabot sa mahigit 142 billion pesos. Pinakamataas na total assets na halagang 925.61 billion. Palagay ko, next year, trillion na itong magiging report ninyo. Ang mga nagtaguyod ng Pag-ibig Fund ay talaga naman sana, yung iba ay wala na rito, hindi na natin kasama. Ngunit sana ay may bahagi natin sa kanila na ganito ang nangyari sa sinimula nilang Pag-ibig Fund at tuloy-tuloy na lumalaki. At maganda naman ang naging epekto para sa pabahay ng ating mga minamahal na mamamayan. At bukod pa dyan, ang pinakamataas na gross income sa halagang 77.21 billion pesos. Pinakamataas na net income na umabot sa 43.79 billion. At pinakamataas na dividendo na ibinahagi sa lahat ng miyembro sa halagang 48.76 billion pesos. Kaya sa pamunuan at kawani ng Pag-ibig, tanggapin po ninyo ang taus-pusong pasasalamat ng sambayan ng Pilipino. To the men and women of Pag-ibig, whose stewardship of its members' funds skillfully combines growth with sustainability, please accept our heartfelt thanks for a job well done and our most fervent congratulations. Keep up the good work. But you and I all know that we are far from declaring mission accomplished. We have inherited a huge housing backlog that must be reduced. The challenge before us today, including those in the Pag-ibig, the housing sector, and the local government units, is to translate these statistics into actual homes that people can live in. These homes shall be happy places where our kababayans can raise their families, spend the best years of their lives, creating joyful memories with those that they love. And we know, it is a tall order. But your Secretary of Housing does things not because that they are easy, but he likes it when they are hard. Masyado siyang mahilig ng sa mga challenge. Kaya pagka sinasabi ko, kailangan nating abutin itong mga numerong ito, walang mahirap para kay Secretary Jerry. Sabi, sige, gawin natin. Kaya naman, ganyan ang naging report ng Pag-ibig ngayon. For instance, we are actively pursuing the implementation of the Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino Housing Program, which continues to address the need for decent housing and to build on the potential impact of a robust sector in the growing economy. Many held the cowardly view that the Pasig River is dead and cannot be revived. But we are witnessing its revival to the Pasig River Urban Development Project. So far, in the past 2 years, I have seen how the DSUD and its attached agencies have broken out of their comfort zones and tore down the walls that caged ideas. And so with the same spirit, I urge the Pag-ibig Fund to make its home mortgage financing even more accessible and to balance this with sustainability. This is to inspire Filipinos today and the generations to come to work hard to reach their goal of a house that they can call their own. With millions of our countrymen denied the right to decent shelter, the stakes could not be higher. So our task is clear: to build the most number of housing units by any administration. Thankfully, the Pag-ibig Fund has a proud DNA which has been a source of its strength and its stability. It is the coming together of ikaw, bangko, industriya, gobyerno. Parang apat na matibay na poste ng bahay. Kaya ang pag-ibig matibay sapagkat dito ito nakapandar, dito ito nakasandal. These four pillars are your fund's greatest and strongest building materials. This marshalling of the many to build one strong nation is also the cornerstone upon which Bagong Pilipinas is founded. I have always believed that when we are united behind one great purpose, there is nothing that can stop the Filipinos from realizing it. Whether building a nation or a home, this belief is in ourselves and is our fighting faith.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ordered the strengthening of the current senior high school curriculum and the improvement of embedding technical and vocational education and training, or TVET, within the senior high school system. In a sectoral meeting, the president said this is to ensure that students and graduates of senior high school are ready and employable for the workforce. The chief executive pressed the need to rescale and upscale workers in order to meet the demands of the current and future labor market in the Philippines and globally. President Marcos also stressed the importance of consulting industries and government agencies so that skills training and education are aligned with the goal of future employability. In a press briefing, TESDA Deputy Director General for Policies and Planning Rosana Urdaneta said TESDA, the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE, and the Department of Education or DepEd came out with a proposal to strengthen senior high school by integrating skills development into the curriculum. Furthermore, TESDA contextualized certain tracks of the senior high school curriculum and have embedded certain skill sets that will enable the student to receive a national certificate. This means that if the student wishes to work after graduating, he can use the certificate as an educational achievement, ergo qualifies him for the job. Urdaneta also said that there is also a plan to retrain the teachers to enable them to contextualize the TVET programs, adding that the training will be conducted first in public schools.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri underscored that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s statement is clear that he wants both houses to have a separate voting with regards to the amendments to the economic provision of the Constitution. According to Zubiri, President Marcos knows that the Senate and Congress should vote independently on the economic charter change, or CHACHA, since the chief executive already said that the Senate should take the lead in the economic CHACHA. Zubiri said the president wants Congress to adopt the Senate's version of the measure. The Senate president clarified that the amendment should only be limited to the economic provision of the Constitution, as he does not want any troubles and controversies. Meanwhile, Senator Zubiri also shared that President Marcos wants the plebiscite on the economic CHACHA to be done at the same time as the 2025 midterm elections. This was part of the president's agenda during the private meeting with senators in Malacañang on Monday. Zubiri explained that if the plebiscite were to be held before the midterm elections, the government will be spending 12 to 14 billion Philippine peso. Because of this, the Senate president does not see any reason for the Senate to hurry the deliberations on the proposed economic CHACHA or the resolution of both houses number 6. The chief executive also wants the Senate to study on how to convince the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, to include the rider question in relation to the economic CHACHA at the back of the 2025 ballot.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, continues to intensify its collaboration with the private and public sector to better its services for overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs. DMW Officer in Charge, Undersecretary Hans Leo Kakdak, and PLDT Global Incorporated, President and Chief Executive Officer Albert Villarreal signed a Memorandum of Agreement, or MOA, in Makati City, along with other agency officials. The agreement aims to support OFWs and their families who return to the country by providing them skills development programs such as training courses in information technology, modern farming, and other livelihood projects for them to start a small business. Kakdak thanked PLDT's support that will elevate the skills of OFWs. For his part, Villarreal said PLDT aims to provide assistance to OFWs so that they will be digitally skilled and given the opportunity to work in the country.
Dateline Malacañang.
Taiwan, through the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office, or TECO, has donated $200,000 or approximately 11.2 million Philippine peso to support Davao Region's ongoing disaster relief operations following the devastating flood and landslides in January. TECO Representative Wallace Chow, in a turnover ceremony in Makati on Tuesday, said they extend their deepest condolences to the bereaved families of the victims who remain missing or have perished in the devastating landslide. This is the third time TECO has provided financial aid to support disaster relief in the country since 2022, bringing the total $700,000 or around 39.3 million Philippine peso. Manila Economic and Cultural Office Chairman Silvestre Bello III, who received the aid on behalf of Davao, said the fund would be divided among the affected provinces in the region. Several parts of Mindanao were battered by flooding and landslides triggered by heavy rainfall due to the northeast monsoon and the trough of a low pressure area last month. The heavy rain damaged roads and bridges and displaced thousands of families, the majority from Davao. Davao Oriental 1st District Representative Nelson Dayanghirang, who was present during the ceremony, said the donation would be a significant help as the province recovers from the devastation.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Land Transportation Office, or LTO, is set to increase the visibility of traffic enforcers in support of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s call for motorists and other road users to observe traffic laws. In a statement, LTO Chief Assistant Secretary Vigor Mendoza II said these enforcers will ensure proper loading and unloading of passengers, the exclusivity of bicycle lanes, and implementing other traffic rules and regulations. He also called on leaders of transport groups to mandate their members to follow and respect traffic laws. Earlier, Marcos urged all road users to observe traffic laws, rules, and regulations on road safety under his administration's banner, Bagong Pilipinas, or New Philippines. He also asked PUV drivers to observe the designated loading and unloading zones, refrain from using bike lanes, for vendors to clear the sidewalks, and for the public to use pedestrian lanes.
Dateline Malacañang.
Finally, for Dateline Malacañang, the Philippine Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, underscored the need to boost internalization efforts for higher education institutions, or HEIs. In a featured speech during the 9th Annual Eurasia Higher Education, or URI Summit in Istanbul, Turkey, CHED Chairperson J. Prospero de Vera said universities in the Philippines are aggressively internationalizing. For the Times Higher Education, or THE report alone, the country's participation in impact ranking grew to 60 HEIs, much higher than the single-rank HEI in 2019. De Vera said the Philippine government is now focusing on science and technology, agriculture, medicine, and allied health sciences, as well as the promotion of university-industry linkages to ensure skill match. He then expressed the country's willingness to continue bilateral ties with Turkey in terms of improving the higher education sector, alongside his invitation to other delegates to join the country's panel for partnership opportunities. In the end, De Vera urged leaders to act on limiting factors that affect the marginalized sector across the globe. The 2024 URI Summit, with its theme Building Global Connections, shall continue until Thursday. The Chad, along with 6 presidents from the leading universities in the country, joined the Philippine delegation.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.